Welcome to a CoinDesk webinar on brand engagement around Bitcoin and building loyalty within customer bases for this entirely new industry. One of the things, I've been your host today, and I've been in this industry for quite a while. And one of the first things I was doing when I was giving consultations to banks and other large enterprises in 2014, 2015 was explain that this loyalty piece was going to be one of the most important developments. And years later, I worked for Kraken and started working with Prime Trust, one of our guests today. Erin Holloway, president of Prime Trust, here to discuss loyalty and brand building in crypto. Erin, welcome.
Thank you so much, Nolan. Great to be here.
Great. And we've also got Peter Schultze from Aggio, who has been working in this field as well for a while, attracted to the open source brand of Bitcoin. Is that where the development began?
Absolutely, and thanks for having me on today.
Great. So we're going to jump in right away and get some background from both of you. So I've shared a bit of mine, really how I got involved in this industry, and one of the first pieces was in this building brand loyalty and how important it is, and particularly loyalty points. We've seen part of the whole meme culture around Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies really embrace this loyalty piece. And we've seen Bitcoin become one of the most recognizable brands in the world, up there with Coca-Cola already, and only a little over 10 years old. So I'd like to begin with you, Peter, just an overview of how you got involved and background on Aggio.
Yeah, and thanks a lot. I'll start with a little bit of a background on Aggio, and then I can sort of lead into how we got involved. So Aggio is one of the leading engagement technology companies in the world today. We support engagement, recognition, and loyalty solutions across really the entire corporate enterprise, from employee platforms to consumer to cardholder programs. We support over 60 Fortune 500 companies, and through these relationships, we serve millions of users globally across 185 countries. And one of the things that's been a core focus, since the beginning at Aggio has been really incubating new ideas and new technologies. And what we're most excited about today is what we call crypto loyalty. So for a little bit of background, across our platforms, we do many millions of dollars of points redemptions every month. And about a year ago, we started to hear from many of our clients asking if we had a solution for redemption of loyalty currencies for crypto. So we took a look across the market, and there are quite a few crypto platforms and organizations that have had a purely crypto-focused mindset, but not a loyalty or engagement mindset. And we ultimately concluded that there's a better, more comprehensive approach to the space. So we decided to develop our own solution, which ultimately led to the creation of Heaps, and you'll hear more about that today.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The engagement piece, you hear about all this customer loyalty from all these companies, but there isn't a lot of customer first attitude towards it. It seems like it's a captive industry model that tries to get people to spend whatever they've earned within a tight bucket, not as connected as our crypto world, as permissionless. And Erin, you've been involved as well with this industry for quite a while on this connected piece, because I know when I was with Kraken, already recognizing the amount of connections that your company provides between the old digital Web 2 world and everything else that's going on that Bitcoin has created, and the whole new world of services that Bitcoin has unlocked for people. So you've been part of that connection piece for quite a while. So if you could, describe how you even led to this point now where we're actually, breaking the bonds of these captive loyalty branded schemes.
Sure. So Prime Trust was founded in 2016. And it's very interesting. We're both a financial institution because we're a trust regulated by the state of Nevada, but then we're also a technology company, which supports, behind the scenes kind of role for great innovators like Aggio. We're not just one, but we're both, which is a really interesting place to be. We are truly the definition of fintech. So we power that infrastructure to the consumer market. Most people will not know our names. Most consumers have no idea who we are, right? Because we are that behind the scenes type of role. But we hold billions under custody in various digital and fiat assets, and we manage millions of accounts on behalf of consumers. So I think we're actually at about 100 different currencies and tokens under custody today. It's ever changing, ever growing. And our customers include some of the biggest names in on-ramps, wallets, government entities, exchanges, wealth managers, alternative trading systems, and now rewards programs, which is really exciting. But all of these consumer-facing companies need companies like us behind the scenes. So we offer that digital foundation to keep their operations flowing smoothly. So being both a financial institution that also has great technology supporting crypto is a pretty powerful cocktail, and it's in a really exciting space to be in.
And when I hear you describe those business units, those services, those integrations you have with wider infrastructure providers, you're almost telling the history of the industry in a sense. You're showing it progress from on-ramps and off-ramps and now up until this engagement piece where it's about habitual behavior and getting folks to see the benefits of using a service, because it looks like a lot is going into that. Now, when I look at this historical sense, you guys have seen a lot since 2016. Could you put that loyalty points piece into a relative sense of where the industry is at right now? Is it because the industry has gotten to this point where it's now able to compete directly against some of the largest brand operators in the world? Is that where we're at? Or just give us a sense of where we're at in the larger industry and why loyalty points are now the thing.
Yeah, so 2022 is poised. It's already turning into a fantastic year, even though we're only a third of the way through it. In one word, it's incredible. The innovation that we are seeing is incredible. And we're seeing really cool new concepts come to light, rewards being one of the newest, hottest, coolest areas. Basically, it's the bridge between old school finance and new school finance that's happening now. And that's evidenced by the fact that Prime Trust and Aggio are working together in this process. And the lines are blurring even more as we get into broader applications and consumer adoption for both the investment side and then the transfer of value side of crypto. Not-for-profits are quickly moving into the adoption space. Airlines are giving coins instead of points. Investment retirement accounts are exploding in crypto. And the IRA space is actually just one area where Prime Trust is leading the way. If you look at where wealth is sitting, 75% wealth is sitting in retirement accounts. So plugging crypto in as one more investment option, it's just a natural evolution. I see this year as both the year of the institution and the year of the consumer, because common financial vehicles that traditionally have been offered by the large institutions are now going to be offered in crypto for the first time. And that makes adoption more available, accessible, and familiar with consumers. So big finance is either going to need to build it, they need to buy it, or they need to partner with someone in new school finance like Prime Trust and Aggio if they're going to get into the game. And so from the volumes that we're seeing, it's happening this year.
Yeah, you describe something that I think we're seeing. We see it even in the trading piece, let's say, when it was described as democratizing finance. We see the retail side of Bitcoin trading has surpassed in sophistication anything we could have imagined. These guys are learning the ropes the same way that people using the Chicago Commodities Exchange have been learning and practicing for years with derivatives markets and really sophisticated tools. And we've seen normal people have access to this. And I think that's what we're talking about here is this story of access and the story of new products coming online that maybe were for a niche market before, but are now widening in their applicability to people all around the world, because everyone sort of has some of the same troubles. They're trying to beat the same people. And, I wonder, Peter, if when we're talking about the history of this industry and where we're at right now, if that's a thread that is guiding you guys, is that orienting you? Where are we at in the industry right now, and how do your plans sort of dovetail with that?
I would say, I couldn't agree with Erin more. It's hard to ignore that interest and adoption of cryptocurrency is really growing at an incredible pace, even outpacing the growth of the internet in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And, in the same way that the internet has changed the way that we exchange and access information, crypto is changing the way that we exchange and access value. The past year saw crypto adoption grow by 800%. And we now have near universal awareness of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, with somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 million Americans expected to buy crypto for the first time in the next 12 months. But really, overall, we're still fairly early in terms of the adoption curve globally. The early interest we saw in crypto has mainly been driven by consumer demand, but the past year really saw a lot of validation with institutions and other established players entering the space, from, as Erin mentioned, traditional finance to retail, with public companies adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets, with a handful of top financial institutions in the world on a hiring spree, bringing in crypto talent. We've got celebrities, we've got athletes, we've got politicians, all deciding to take a portion of their paycheck in Bitcoin. We were in Miami a couple of weeks ago for Bitcoin 2022, and it really felt like the industry has grown up, even from a year ago. There were companies, attendees, sponsors from every industry and every vertical, sharing, learning, looking for ways to integrate Bitcoin and digital assets into their product offerings and the way they do business. And that's exactly what we've been hearing and seeing across our client base. So to sort of, get back to your original question, how would I describe the state of the crypto industry? I would maybe call this the year of, institutional adoption, or maybe the point of knowing, no going back, or something like that.
Yeah, it struck me what you were saying even 1 year ago for the Bitcoin conference. As I see it, it was one of the first physical gatherings in the whole world out of COVID in 2021 at a large scale. And everyone said, wow, it's been so long and the world had to come together and it's so nice to be there again. But within that whole year that passed, you can start to see that, while it's really important to physically meet, there's that whole intersection of this is a digital business, and the crypto and the entire aspect of incentives and loyalty modeling does work in the digital space. If you could talk a bit about that, Peter, because that's really what you guys focus on, is that whole intersection between loyalty and these digital networks. So, industry advancing, glad everyone is physically together, definitely a good marker, but this is a digital business, and our lives are being more and more ruled by digital means these days. If you could describe that crossover and why it's so important.
Absolutely. Really the exciting thing from our perspective is that all this surging growth and interest in crypto we're seeing has really created new opportunities for organizations to drive deeper engagement with their customers, with their cardholders, employees, or members. From our perspective, transactions really sit at the core of any engagement relationship. There's both a transactional side, there's also an experiential side, and crypto and digital assets can connect the two in a very powerful way. So our thesis at Aggio is that rewards create an easy entry point into cryptocurrency for both consumers and organizations, whether you're a brand, a financial institution, an employer, and that rewards can serve as sort of the initial easy entry point and the opportunity to, jump in and learn about this world of crypto. And we're already seeing the data confirming this. A recent report we saw by Visa is showing that over half of consumers are interested in entering the world of crypto through rewards. And nearly 90% of those who own crypto today are already interested in earning crypto rewards. And the especially interesting thing that we're already seeing this demand and interest in crypto impacting engagement in a very meaningful way. As an example, the leading Bitcoin rewards card today is seeing north of 6 times the average annual spend compared to traditional cards. Now, part of that is likely that the Bitcoin rewards are attracting an audience that has more disposable income. But at the same time, the other side is that Bitcoin rewards are moving the card to the top of the wallet and impacting spend. And so, sort of looking at the experience overall, the two reasons that consumers are interested in participating and owning crypto primarily are, number one, the opportunity to take part in the what we see as the financial way of the future, and then number two, it's the opportunity to potentially build wealth. And where we're seeing the opportunity today is around providing new, interesting, and easy ways to learn, to experiment, and to accumulate Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But really looking at crypto and digital assets from a loyalty and engagement lens, we see an intersection not just from the rewards perspective in terms of boosting participation and driving more spend, but potential to redefine the exchange of value and in customer relationships, really redefining the concept of membership and access through NFTs, and also in the workplace to attract and retain talent through employee awards and crypto benefits.
And Erin, I'm wondering along those lines, the engagement piece, it's a competitive market out there, and you've got a lot of providers, partners, each of them, I think, trying to stand out with this engagement and loyalty interplay. And of course, that's what you do. You bridge all of these different companies with the customers, essentially, and without them necessarily even knowing it sometimes. But that component of securing those relationships is important for you guys. And if you have anything to sort of add to what's been discussed here on the engagement piece.
Yeah, Peter's actually spot on. This is his bread and butter, absolutely. I think what it is that rewards is something that's familiar, right? So it is an easy entry point for most consumers. Most people have on their credit cards some type of reward, whether it's cash back, or airline points or hotel points, something of that nature. That's familiar. Shifting into crypto via a rewards program makes it not so scary for those that are stepping their toes in for the first time. And I think it's fantastic because it will drive adoption.
I used to offer people to go and look for some Dogecoin out of the free faucets years ago when they got started. So hopefully the people who took my early crypto lessons, 5 or 6 years ago, hopefully your customers can do as well as those guys did with some free, don't worry if you lose it coins. So Aggio recently announced this platform, Peter, and I would like you to describe a bit how you're working now with Prime Trust and how you're going to roll these products out for the benefits of these users.
Absolutely. So, at the beginning of our conversation, I hinted at, Aggio's entry into what we call crypto loyalty. And, we've been working hard, planning to launch a platform called Heaps, later this spring. And in its simplest form, Heaps is a crypto platform that enables the exchange of loyalty points, of cashback rewards, employee awards, and other loyalty currencies into cryptocurrency. We're essentially bringing to market, a simple and secure crypto experience that can be plugged into any new or existing loyalty program, recognition program, or rewards hub, with a focus around education over advocacy for cryptocurrency, enabling flexible ways to invest in crypto, like loyalty rewards through recurring deposits or even direct paycheck contributions, as well as creating more ways to earn and unlock free crypto through everyday transactions, which I'll touch on in a bit here. But really the way that it works is that Heaps is designed to very easily and seamlessly plug into any new or existing loyalty or rewards program where a consumer, a cardholder, or member, or an employee can convert the rewards they're earning into leading cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and a handful of other leading crypto assets. Now, once they're inside the Heaps platform, we're providing education around the basics of crypto, of blockchain, of digital assets, as well as understanding the risks and the benefits that come along with participating in crypto. And then we're also providing users their own individual secure wallet through Prime Trust, which I'll dive into in a moment here. Giving users the ability to buy, to sell, to hold, and to transact with their cryptocurrency. They can even set up recurring purchases from their bank account or enroll in Bitcoin direct deposit to seamlessly convert a portion of their paycheck into Bitcoin, as we've been seeing play out in the market. And everything is safeguarded through, really best-in-class cold storage with Prime Trust. And the last piece, I'll touch on is that, unique to Heaps, coming from an engagement and loyalty lens, is the ability for users to earn free crypto when they shop. So we're building an expansive marketplace of popular digital gift cards, plus thousands of online and in-store offers, where every time a user shops at a participating merchant, Heaps rewards them with free crypto. So as an example, anytime you buy a gift card from your favorite retailer or swipe your card to buy a cup of coffee or your groceries, you're able to earn free crypto through your transaction, both creating, on the consumer side, ongoing ways to build portfolio value in a very easy way. And then, more ways to inspire ongoing engagement with the card or the brand partners that we bring onto the platform. Now, to bring Heaps, the Heaps platform to market in a way that can scale securely, we've brought on Prime Trust as our infrastructure partner. And I'll pass it over to Erin to, she's the expert on that side, to speak to that piece a little bit more.
Thanks, Peter. So we at Prime Trust, we well know that Peter and Aggio, they need to focus on their customers. They do not need to be also building their infrastructure from scratch. And that's where we came into the picture. So we already had that built, and it's ready to plug into Aggio solutions so that they can go to market quickly and securely. And that's key to success. So we focus on the compliance, the security, the movement of the payments behind the scenes. And then Peter can have the retail focus, which allows a really easy entry or on-ramp experience into crypto for the consumers and organizations. And so Prime Trust handles everything from the compliance side, things like know your customer, know your bank, the wallet infrastructure, the security element, the money transfers, and the liquidity elements. And then from there, Aggio takes the reins, reaching the consumer marketplace.
And, it reminds me, when I was with Kraken and looking at Prime Trust, and I remember also reading the Coinbase S1 filing, and it reminds me a lot of what I'm hearing from you as far as their projected business lines and how the company would grow. But in particular, the amount of importance that was put into rewards and loyalty and education, and they'd sort of bundled that all together, loyalty, education, habit-forming behaviors within their wallet, and in the end, a really big part of analysis around what was going on with that S1. And I want to just hear from you, Erin, exactly, how that interplay between loyalty and engagement and education happen. And we'll move to Peter on the same issue right away after that.
Yeah, education is actually the key, right? I see this all the time with my friends, and this is men and women alike, right? They have no idea where to start with crypto. So if you introduce something to them that is familiar, like a rewards program, there's accessibility built into it, and then that drives the adoption, right? Suddenly they do have crypto in their wallets because they are using a rewards program in a very familiar manner. And it feels much more comfortable to them because they already know how to use it. It's an everyday type of thing that they don't have to think about. So I think the key to education isn't necessarily watching YouTube videos on blockchain 101. It's creating something that's familiar, so it's easy to learn about. And that's exactly where the Heaps program and the rewards comes in.
So in the same way that I years ago said, go get some Dogecoin and you're going to learn more from handling some Dogecoin than you'll ever learn. Hopefully they learned a lot when they got to trade it for more Bitcoin or whatever. But Peter, just a little more on that education piece, just because I know when you see them packaged along, it's a few folks that are doing in the industry because, of course, it is a habit forming business. As a researcher, I was always asking, how often do you check the Bitcoin prices for years now? And people love doing it. They'll never stop it. They love checking what's going on and checking numbers, checking data. And, what you're saying is, here, check how much you've earned from choosing these behaviors.
Absolutely. And, I think building off of what Erin said, it's all about getting it into people's hands in a familiar way. At this point, we've got near universal awareness of crypto. We've got interest is at an all-time high. But in terms of mass adoption, we're still so early because, for whatever reason, a lot of folks haven't, jumped in themselves. And I think, the biggest hurdle here is education. Companies and consumers alike are recognizing that there's this inevitability to crypto and digital assets, and that there's a huge consumer-driven desire to participate, but also a lack of education and understanding of the space. And rewards are just such a great solution because they create that easy entry point to learn, to play, to explore the world of crypto and digital assets for both companies and consumers. There are billions of points and loyalty rewards earned and redeemed every year. And what we know is that, points are typically treated a little bit differently than a paycheck, where with points, somebody may be more willing to try something new, to play, to experiment. So with rewards serving as the initial entry point into crypto, we really see ourselves, primarily as an educational platform. We're focused on education rather than advocacy for particular cryptocurrencies. We're developing in-house content around understanding the basics of Bitcoin, of crypto and blockchain, and really creating a way for organizations and consumers to enter the space in the right environment. Because ultimately we do see, as you mentioned, we do see rewards being a key to educating the broader population and, contributing to the mass adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
You had mentioned that the familiarity, we recognize rewards points, people have used them, but is your interface, is your flow exactly like that? Like, how does a cardholder redeem rewards for crypto here? How does it functionally work? How are you thinking about the user experience along those lines? Is it exactly the same as when I cash my air miles in for flights, when you're prompted along in order to cash it in, or is it bespoke and different experiences for different products?
That's really a great question. And when it comes down to it, a simple and a seamless user experience is absolutely critical, especially when you're onboarding consumers that are new to crypto. It's especially important as rewards can play that role as the on-ramp to crypto for the first time, with millions of consumers who are members of loyalty programs looking for new and compelling ways to redeem or to find value. And so it really starts with the ability to, for Heaps to integrate directly with any rewards program, employee recognition program, payments hub, or points bank. Given our experience designing and operating programs for some of the largest of large organizations in the world today, we've taken a look at the crypto on-ramp process and identified where we can break down barriers and make the process seamless for anyone that's new to the space. So, from the initial redemption of points, you redeem for crypto the same way that you may redeem for a gift card or an experience or, piece of merchandise through your rewards program. And then from there, it's, comes down to onboarding and know your customer process. That makes identity verification as simple as a quick text and a snap of a driver's license, to the ability for, users to receive their crypto instantly after redeeming their points, and not having to wait the 3 to 5, sometimes over 10 days for transactions to settle, that you'll see across many of the other solutions in the market today. So, really we've looked at every angle and worked to simplify the onboarding experience, because as a brand, as a financial institution, as an employer looking to extend, a new crypto offering to customers, to employees, to members, it's really critical to get that part right.
And Erin, I'll follow up along those lines, because the user experience is that part that you guys don't get the credit for, but are definitely engaged in providing. So how do you guys think about that? Because that's partly what you're trying to deliver here from basically two different clients. You've got your enterprise clients and then the user interface itself.
Yeah. So on the surface, what people need to see is that what they're doing is simple, fast, and it's easy, right? Simple, fast, easy. That's where the consumers come in. But behind the scenes, there's so much more going on that they do value, but they don't necessarily, it doesn't come top of mind. But we take that uncertainty out of the equation, right? So we do vet all the consumers before their crypto accounts are opened with Aggio. And as a trust, because we are regulated, we adhere to all the regulatory requirements and policies that all financial institutions need for their clients' protections. Just to give you a little bit of background about the people and our management team, we just actually hired the second in command from the Secret Service to be our vice president of regulatory affairs. And most of our executive team actually comes from either big finance, regulatory entities, or they have security backgrounds. So the front side is it's got to be simple, fast, and easy to consumers. But ultimately, behind the scenes, consumers need to have confidence in their technology providers, especially when money's involved. And it really keeps coming back then. The underlying foundation has to come back to then security, but with the ease of use and that accessibility, then it gives our consumers a great user experience with Aggio.
And people are fond of their loyalty points. There's a certain love for them. Maybe that's different than people have for money or earnings or regular old boring cash, right? There's a certain feeling people have around these. But when it comes to redemption, how do you offer the rewards themselves? Like, is there a schedule plan? For example, when I'm on airline rewards, as you were saying, the convertibility to a gift card is set according to a schedule. So how are the rewards themselves offered? How do you manage the compliance and security pieces around offering these rewards?
That's a great question, and I'd maybe start here in that most large brands and financial institutions are risk averse. Yet there's this common sense that there's this inevitability to crypto, and that crypto and digital assets are going to play some role in the way that we not only exchange value, but the way that we work and live our everyday lives. So the question is, as you put it, how does an organization enter the space in a way that's secure and compliant? Well, the good news is that given Aggio works with some of the largest financial institutions and Fortune 500s, we've enlisted the experts in the space and spent a lot of time and energy understanding the key issues around licensing, around compliance, infrastructure, storage, and security to ensure that the solution we're bringing to market is both best in class, but it can also be truly plug and play for our partners. And that's one of the big reasons we brought on Prime Trust is that the organizations we bring onto the platform don't have to worry about navigating the complexities or the liability of, acquiring money transmitter licenses, running KYC and AML, providing liquidity and secure storage. So from an organizational standpoint, Heaps is truly plug and play in that sense. And then, from an asset perspective, we're offering a selection of 5 to 10 leading cryptocurrencies to ensure that the assets we're offering on the platform have been vetted and established in the marketplace, rather than the hundreds or even thousands of maybe more speculative currencies that can come and go overnight, seemingly. And lastly, what I'll say here is that it's really important that we aren't advocates. To educate around cryptocurrency, not advocate, is the best way to enter the space from an organizational level.
And Erin, from the same idea of onboarding these, onboarding is the wrong word. Let's say engaging with these large entities in order to get them over that heap and be able to do this in the first place. I think, like Peter was saying, you don't want them to have to hire a whole new set of actuarial scientists to figure out the risk of a new customer base and none of that stuff has to happen. So it's more than just, you want to boil it down to just, how do I offer these services? And is that something that someone can come to you guys with? Just that simple, directive? I just want to be able to do this for my customers. Is contacting you enough?
It absolutely is. As I mentioned, our customers come from a broad range of areas within the crypto space. And with Aggio, they needed not to only get established, but they also needed to know that they were building on a platform that could scale quickly and grow with them over time. We anticipate massive growth in crypto rewards arena, and we're structured to support that growth for Aggio. We expect it to be hockey stick type of growth. As they grow, though, that compliance, that security element is already in place with Prime Trust. And again, we do all those compliance checks, and we have security experts, and I like to call it a belt and suspenders methodology. Coming from investment banking, it's drilled into me that you do everything more than you need to. And we're going to be the ones that stay on top of any regulatory changes or changes in the security landscape. We're also members of the Blockchain Association, which gives us both a voice and a window into the larger crypto community. So we're always getting the latest regulatory and compliance information and contributing to it. And we can be really proactive, which benefits our customers like Aggio.
And, I see it's not just consumers of products. It isn't just the big Fortune 500 companies and their clients. You mentioned there was a whole nother component about HR and internal incentive systems in order to help attract talent, help cultivate new employees, draw them there. So I see this at once as obvious in the Fortune 500 world. All of these folks need these kinds of legs up, very competitive environment, particularly for hiring these days. But what about the whole other side? When you think of crypto industry folks, a lot of them are starting their own businesses, and a lot of them have projects that are also competitive. And just a few years ago, they couldn't even get a bank account. But am I hearing now that they can actually start offering, as entities starting up in the space, in this industry, much more than just banking? They can start offering sophisticated incentive systems for new employees, people who want to get on board and start a new project in crypto, let's say.
Absolutely. And we 100% see crypto playing a role in creating new ways for employers to attract, to engage, and to retain their employees. Aggio does a lot of work today in the employee recognition and engagement space, and we're really focused around making it easy for employers to offer crypto awards to employees, as well as the ability to directly allocate a portion of a paycheck into an automated Bitcoin savings plan. In a way that's secure, that's compliant, and plugs into any existing payroll system. And that's, again, made possible through our relationship with Prime Trust. For employer, what that means is there's no added work. There's no integrations required with payroll platforms to stand this up. And, really, maybe I'll take a step back in that crypto awards and employee benefits are a great way to position an organization as future facing, as competitive in the industry. It's a great way to attract forward thinking talent and to improve retention among existing talent. I think it was SoFi that came out with a study a few weeks ago that showed somewhere over a third of employees were interested in receiving some portion or even all of their paycheck in a form of cryptocurrency. And we're seeing this play out in the marketplace as demand for employee awards, for Bitcoin direct deposit, and other benefits like IRAs and 401ks are the demand is growing immensely, really creating more optionality for employees and differentiation from a benefits perspective. Especially with this new wave of next generation crypto savvy individuals entering the workforce.
And once again, Bitcoin, being the greatest open source brand in the history of the world, already came up with the meme to sell it. Pay me in Bitcoin. And to this day, one of the greatest things I've ever done for myself in this industry was make that decision. I think that's mostly
absolutely
for everybody. Erin, along the same lines, do you see that engagement piece as something that clients are bringing forward to you and saying, can you lead clients to this loyalty and engagement, product system because they're interested in arriving there as it is, and they don't know the road, maybe don't know the way?
Yeah, actually, first I should tell you that we are actually looking at utilizing the Heaps for our own employees at Prime Trust, because we actually do like it that much, and think it is, very, very much the way forward, and a huge benefit to employees. But think about how employees interact today, right, with their employers, and where crypto can fit into that. So, many of our employees, for all companies, have retirement funds, right? Some are independent of their employers and some are in conjunction with their employers. So when we look at some of the background for the potential of a crypto IRA landscape, for example, a recent survey by Visa suggested that 1/3 of adults who manage their household finances actually own at least a little bit of crypto. And 40% said that they would switch to a bank offering in crypto if their bank doesn't offer it. So it's evidence that the importance of access to crypto is increasing. And most crypto owners are young, right? A lot of them are under 35, which means they're potential long-term customers for retirement plans. And we're seeing that demand by the millennials and the Gen Zs as they want to diversify their portfolios, in addition, to opportunities to access the digital economy. And when you look at the IRA landscape in its totality, it's actually 12.2 trillion at the year end of 2020. Imagine if only 10% of that shifted into crypto as the younger generations kind of get in the game. That'd be over $1 trillion. And so given their large footprint within the workforce, we anticipate, the younger generations, have an increased interest. And there's a unique reward opportunity that continues to rise because they have the benefit of time being on their side. So companies are going to have to react to that. They're going to have to explore creative ways to attract and retain that younger talent, and offering crypto proactively in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through their retirement plan, through portions of their bonus, through the bonus rewards plan. Those are all great ways to do that as they're looking to bring them into the workforce and retain them.
You were mentioning, Erin, that demographic shift and how important that wealth transfer along the lines of these demographics really are. And that brings me to the last thing I want for us to cover here is what's next. And definitely we can't ever ignore this huge demographic piece. But what else do you seeing, combining with that demographics piece to help, or not even to help, what else do you see combining with that demographics piece to really, bring the vivid colors of the future out here? What does it look like?
Yeah, I'd say I probably have 3 observations as to ripple effects in the larger landscape. The first one I already mentioned, right? The generational IRA growth is going to have mainstream adoption for people in their 20s, and that's going to provide years of benefit, right? Time is on their side. And for those of us who have been at this a while, just imagine if you had the opportunity to invest, even a few percentage points of your IRA in crypto, even 15 years ago. Imagine what your portfolio would look like today. And we didn't have that opportunity. That wasn't an option, but it is now. So it's never too late. I'd say the second observation is smart contracts. I see that really, as it fits into traditional finance, right? As we make that shift from old school finance to new school, it's going to replace traditional escrow accounts as people start to buy and sell assets in crypto beyond NFTs. Crypto real estate is going to become more and more the norm. And smart contracts can be the qualified third party between any 2 unknown parties for any large value transaction. And it's going to make the process a lot less manual than traditional escrow accounts are today. So I see a definite shift in that direction. And then my last observation is really a broad sweeping statement. Crypto is too big to fail at this point. There is no turning back. This is the way forward. New school finance is absolutely here to stay, and it's going to be great. I'm thrilled to be part of it.
We're slinging private keys all around the world. Keys are currency. Keys are currency. And this is one question from a user, just wanted to tack on here because I thought it was relevant, and it was related to the wallet. And when you said, smart contracts and the ability of the wallets themselves to help secure these relationships, what's the roadmap look like for the wallet? Is this really going to be an app development piece? Is it going to be a platform for withdrawing and custodying your own crypto? Where does the wallet fit in the roadmap?
I think we're going to see a simplification of wallets, but an increase in the securitization of wallets, right? There's a little bit of a lot of uncertainty when you talk about lost keys, cracked wallets, things of that nature. It makes people nervous, right? Rightfully so. In essence, it's somewhat of a modern day bank heist. So I think what you're going to see is, I think we're going to get better at the simplification of it, and it will become more normal to start using it more actively. But the securitization has to be coupled in with that, right? Those two things cannot happen on their own. It has to be simultaneous.
Like you were saying, the escrow schemes that can help add that layer of security and operational usefulness when you know that it's going to take 1 or 2 or 3 signatures to mobilize large amounts and not get blindsided. Peter, it's been great chatting with you, and I'd love to hear some of your predictions here to round us home. What's next, and how does the loyalty piece fit in?
Yeah, I would say, first off, I would 100% agree with Erin in that crypto is really here to stay. We're in the very early innings, and I think demand will continue to grow. Sort of building on that wallet piece, if you really think about it, crypto is really just money, property, and assets for, the age of the internet. And we've now got, billions of people all over the world who have, access to the ecosystem through a mobile device and an internet connection. We didn't have that even a few years ago. And so, yes, I totally agree that, we're at a point where there's no turning back. And I think mobile is going to play, a very large role in terms of the mass adoption of the ecosystem. Building on that, though, we really see rewards as the entry point into crypto for both organizations and individuals, really creating an easy avenue to enter and learn about the space and ultimately contributing to the mass adoption. We think most will initially see crypto as a store of value. And there's, today consumers are most interested in ways to accumulate assets. But I think eventually crypto will be used, transactionally day to day. I think we'll also continue to see, rapid growth in demand for Bitcoin payroll, for crypto benefits from employers, IRAs and 401ks as the market evolves. And then I think, the last thing, from a loyalty and engagement lens, with new blockchains and layer 2s enabling lower transaction fees, we see NFTs playing a role in particularly in the loyalty and engagement ecosystem, by really redefining the concept of membership and access, of community and customer relationships in a really big way. So that's what I would say, what we're thinking about in terms of the future of the industry.
Yeah, we were for a long time at CoinDesk thinking about NFTs as coupons in the newspaper. Same old way you'd think about them in the old days. You have some coupons that come, and if you have a wallet engaged with a news service, suddenly you have coupons again. And people love coupons, right? People love coupons. So we do have a few questions from attendees, but I'm going to amalgamate them because a lot of it has to do with questions around regulation and what's possible. And I think in general, I'll direct this question to you, Erin, because people are just curious about how Prime Trust is able to, let's say, take the burden of regulatory requirements off some of their participants. Whether that comes from being a trust, does that give you the mandate to be able to offer a lot of these money services businesses? Is it a money services issue? And I think one of the questions that repeated itself would be if you, Peter, require those money services businesses, and if that's part of the overall arrangement that goes on here. So, Erin?
Sure. Well, because we're regulated by the state of Nevada, just like any other financial institution has a regulatory authority, whether it's state or federal, you answer to a higher power. That absolutely is a bridge to the DeFi world. right? DeFi, began because they didn't want that regulation. They didn't want to have those transactions pass through the large financial institutions, right? Because we're that foundation, we're the ones that answer to the regulators, right? So if our controls are in place and you're building on top of our infrastructure, you've got that foundation ready for you. So you can, as Peter's doing, go out to the consumer market and work directly with the consumers, right? We're that first B in B to B to C, right? Business to consumer, right? It's the foundation. So think of it in that methodology. We do take the burden off of our customers in that regard. And it's really that bridge, right? It's that, and then we've got the technology. So we've got the foundation, and then the bridge goes across with the technology, and the transactions can go back and forth, right? It's not a one-way street when it comes to buying crypto, right? It has to be liquid. You have to be able to liquidate it. It has to be able to go from crypto to fiat or to another crypto or to a token, right? There has to be that network in there of liquidity. And so we too provide that, as well as the payment rails that gets the money in and potentially gets the money out, right? So we are that connectivity and that connective tissue that goes out. It's more of like a network web type of structure, because you could really go any direction with it. And we put that in place for our customers to service the larger market.
Great. And Peter, you get to focus on what you guys do best, make cool products.
Absolutely.
Great. So for everyone here at CoinDesk, I'd like to thank you again for joining. I think it's been really interesting. As I said, it's one of the first things I ever got interested in. I used to bring it to banks and say, this is what you got to think about. It's loyalty points here. This is a way to take a bite-size chunk out of what you're seeing. And now we see it in real life. So thank you, Erin. Thank you, Peter, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Nolan. What a pleasure.
Thanks a lot for having us.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for showing up once again. I'm Nolan Bauerle, signing off for another CoinDesk webinar. Thanks again for coming.